Give me the case for DeShaun Watson.
Well, the case for DeShaun Watson, and thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We much appreciate it. I know we got the AFC Championship going on right now, so we appreciate you guys being here. The case for, let's talk about cash money. There is no argument against it. Okay, because 2021. Now the cap floor, this is what a lot of people have to realize, okay? The cap is at the floor right now for 2021. The cap will never, ever, according to the CBA agreement.
Would you shut up and give us the money?
Sorry, I had to throw that in. It was perfect. No, my bad. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I know. I love it. There is no argument against it, okay? Because the cap is at $176 million for 2021, which is the lowest it could ever go, okay? So you signed DeShaun Watson in 2021. Houston is responsible for DeShaun Watson's remaining signing bonus, which takes about $27 million off of what the cap hit would actually be. So in 2021, DeShaun Watson only cost $11 million. No brainer at that point. Think about it like this, okay? If you were to franchise tag, not even franchise tag, if you were to pick up Sam Darnold's fifth-year option right now, he would cost $15 million for the 2021 season more than DeShaun Watson would cost for the 2021 season. That's insane. More than double. That is 150% what DeShaun Watson would cost the New York Jets for 2021. Yes, DeShaun Watson goes up in cost in 2022 and 2023, those two being the biggest cap hits that he's going to have, which is $35 million in 2022, $37 million in 2023. But you're still talking about quarterbacks that aren't even in top five, quarterbacks that are going to cost $40 million plus in the cap moving forward, okay? DeShaun Watson's going to cost less than that, and he's a top three. He had better numbers than Patrick Mahomes did in 2020 with far less talent. There's no reason not to do it. Cash-wise, your arguments are done. If you're trying to argue against DeShaun Watson for money, your arguments are done, okay? Now let's talk about draft picks. As I said earlier, everybody's trying to increase the number of draft picks that it's going to cost to get DeShaun Watson. Number one, all of this is speculation anyway at this point, so you can't just add draft picks on to what the experts are actually saying as far as what it's going to cost. The consensus is 3 first-round draft picks. I'm okay with that, especially for somebody like Joe Douglas, who could probably get it done for less than 3 first-round draft picks.
Yes, most definitely.
But see, the thing is even if it does cost the 3, let me ask you a question, CJ. If 6 months ago I said, CJ, I'm the Houston Texans, I want Jamal Adams and a first-round draft pick, and I'll give you DeShaun Watson, what do you say?
Oh, I'm there.
You make that trade
in a heartbeat.
1,000 times out of 1,000.
So I go to Jamal Adams' house, and I'm already packing before the ink dries on the.
I am packing his shit for him. I'm like, brother, you going to Houston?
Time to take your ass on out of here.
You make that trade day in and day out. We are talking about 3 draft picks, 2 of which we didn't have 6 months ago. So what is everybody complaining about? If we were to draft a quarterback, we're using a number 1 draft pick on a quarterback anyway, right? Mm-hmm. So really the argument is over 2 draft picks, 2 first-round draft picks. That's what the argument is over. And you make that trade all day, every day, because you're getting a 25-year-old guy who is proven to be an elite talent. He walks in here. DeShaun Watson signs with the New York Jets. DeShaun Watson walks in here, one Jets drive, day one, as the best quarterback the New York Jets have ever had in the history of the franchise, period. Better than Namath statistically. Yes, Namath won a Super Bowl. DeShaun hasn't. But statistically, DeShaun Watson walks into this franchise as the best quarterback we have ever had, ever. The only other argument, well, what if he gets hurt? If you're talking about a player, like if you're thinking scared, maybe he gets hurt, you cannot run an NFL franchise thinking somebody's going to get hurt. That could happen to a draft pick, that can happen to a vet, that can happen to anybody. You cannot base your entire decision-making process on what would happen if the guy got hurt. Period. Plain and simple. There's no other way around it. So 3 first-round draft picks, I am all for it, only because somebody like Joe Douglas, number one, could get it done for probably less, especially if we start getting into the 2021 league year, and DeShaun says, I want to play for Robert Saleh. That price goes down. I'm not saying hold the Houston Texans hostage, but the price does go down. Okay? So it's ours to lose. The other aspect is, what if I just completely lost my train of thought. I don't know what happened. This thing has got me so heated. So I don't know. What are your thoughts so far? Let me collect myself here. What are your thoughts on this so far?
This is the case that I have against DeShaun Watson.
Let's hear it.
And it's pretty much plain and simple. So before I get into that, really quick, Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs at halftime. Kansas City with a 21-12 lead at halftime. For those of you that care.
That's rough.
Anywho, the whole purpose that I'm just saying that the case against DeShaun Watson is, I understand you're going to have to give up draft capital. Mm-hmm. I understand you're going to have to give up significant draft capital. The way that I look at it is like this: give up the draft capital that you received in the Jamal Adams trade and package Sam Darnold with them. Okay?
I wouldn't do that to Sam Darnold. I wouldn't do that to Sam Darnold, but I want to hear what you're having to say. I have a rebuttal.
Well, the reason being is because they're probably going to want a quarterback. Okay, so we'll give you Sam Darnold, and then depending on whoever it is who's the head coach down there, whoever it is that they decide to bring in. I mean, right now they have requested secondary interviews with Eric Bieniemy and I believe somebody else. There was also some talk about Josh McCown possibly being brought in for a head coaching, for a head coaching interview, which I don't think is laughable. Believe it or not, I think it's actually pretty good. But I don't know if I would throw him in the pot of being a head coach. I'd maybe bring him in as like a quarterback's coach or, offensive assistant coach or something like that. So he's really jumping into the deep end of the pool, but I digress. Yes. All right. But the thing is that if you're telling me I got to give up number 2 this year, number 23 this year, and one of my picks next year, plus, a second rounder or a third rounder or whatever, plus something else. No. If I'm Joe Douglas, I'm sitting on my hands and I'm like, you know what? This is the package we're willing to give you.
Right.
Take it or go kick rocks. Fair. Very simple. Yeah. Because you know what? If anybody else is going to mortgage their next 3 drafts, and this is, look, and mind you, I want people to understand my rationale on this. Yeah. Okay. It's probably already a foregone conclusion that the New York Jets are moving on from Sam Darnold. Okay. The fact that no one within the New York Jets organization has actually come out and said that right now is basically more of a political play to save face right now than anything. Robert Saleh in his introductory press conference is not going to go up there and say that he thinks that Sam Darnold stinks. Okay.
I see. Okay.
But he's going to go up there. He's going to give his opinion so far on what he's seen and what he's been exposed to at this point. So everything that he's saying is completely politically correct. Okay. Now let's go behind the closed doors. That's when the cameras get shut off. That's when the microphones get shut off.
Yep.
Okay. He may have a completely different point of view.
For sure.
He may say, I don't know if Mike LaFleur will be able to work with him. Mike LaFleur could also have the same thing. Joe Douglas could also have the same thing. Maybe they have a plan. And plan A could be, we're going to draft a quarterback. And if we don't get the guy that we want, we're going to go to plan B. And then we're going to have plan C. And then we're going to have plan D. This is the first time as a Jets fan where I can feel completely optimistic in the job that Joe Douglas is doing, because he's got his scenarios of what he's going to do already pre-planned out.
Right.
If this happens, we're going to do this. If this happens, we're going to do that. If this happens, we're going to do the other thing. If this happens, we're going to do this, this, and this, a combination of this, this, and this will piece together. Plus, we'll do whatever it is that we need to work together to make this work.
Right.
Okay? Joe Douglas is the anti-Mike McCagnon. Okay?
Yeah.
If you go and take a look at how much money that Mike McCagnon had as his tenure as general manager of the New York Jets, do you realize that he could have bankrolled a third world country? The man had almost in upwards of $480 million of cap space at his disposal in the 5 years that he was GM. $480 million. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to wrap your brains around this.
That's 9 figures, guys.
Okay? Because out of the $480 million, which Mike McCagnon was able to get from moves, free agent signings, etc., trades, cap space, renegotiation of contracts, we got 1 10-6 season, 1 4-12 season, 2 back-to-back 5-11 seasons, and then a 4-12 season. So $480 million essentially bought you one above 500 season. Okay? Joe Douglas is not going to make the same mistakes that Mike McCagnon made. And this is why I say, let everyone keep flapping their gums about DeShaun Watson and what he's going to get on the open market and what the trade demands are and what the Houston Texans are going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because Joe Douglas probably already has a chart in front of him that he's already made up his mind and said, I will pick up the phone and I will offer this. If they don't want it, maybe I'll offer this. If they don't want it, go kick rocks and come back to me when you get a better offer.
So that's fair.
Because I could almost guarantee you that there is not going to be another team out there that is going to outbid the New York Jets with the amount of collateral that they have.
Yeah.
And get this. My case against DeShaun Watson, which is what I originally wanted to go into.
Yeah, he's made a bunch of cases for him, but yeah.
Right. Okay. If you decide that you're going to go all in on DeShaun Watson, you will be subjecting him to the same situation that we currently have Sam Darnold in. A subpar offensive line, not enough skill position players or weapons to get him there. And don't spam me free agency, spam me all of that garbage. Because then you will not be able to build this roster competitively the way you would if you still had those picks. So to me, as much as I would like to get DeShaun Watson, I would get DeShaun Watson on my terms. And if I can't get him on my terms, then I go forward with my original plan. I can see it, but I'm against it. I mean, if someone's going to tell me like, okay, you flip, like for me, flip the Seattle picks, throw Sam Darnold in, maybe throw a third rounder in or whatever next year or the year after, and then just call it a day. But I'm not going to mortgage my next 2 drafts with the amount of draft picks that we have to get one player And that one player is only going to solve one problem on this football team when we have several that we need to address.